Gentlemen, you know the story as well as I. Greed, epidemics, warfare, bad science, and overgrazing. That is the history of the Grimstead Ling, an ecological disaster that once turned fertile farmland into a barren moor, decimating the land and impoverishing its residents. But today, you men of industry and vision, members of this great Moorland Society, will bring innovation and progress to this region. We will restore the fertility of the land. Science, agriculture, engineering, these are the tools of this modern age. We will make Grimstead Ling productive and fertile and valuable once again. It is not just the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do for Denmark. Producing our own food is a matter of national security, and reclaiming lost land to its previous prestigious state is a matter of national pride. Gentlemen, show me you are men of action, not only in deed, but also in your most generous donations to ensure that this Danish society for moorland reclamation is successful. Our children and our children's children will look back on this day and applaud the vision and courage that you men in this room will show today. Hello, everybody. Autumn has made itself more pronounced. The days are getting shorter. The wind is picking up a noticeable chill as it cuts through your clothes. The leaves turn their colors. It's been about a week since your arrival at the castle. Many things have been happening, and the butler, Alget Frisk, has been helping you settle in and get used to your new surroundings. It is this time that a knock at the castle door. At one point, you might have felt the need to go and answer the door, but having a butler has changed you in small ways. Alget Frisk goes to the door. The door opens. There's some conversation. You're in some place in the castle, whether you are still looking through an area, cleaning and dusting, disposing of old furniture, or perhaps reveling in the new library that has been repopulated with books that Alget Frisk had hid when the castle fell into disarray. Who's probably in the hall interested in where Alget is and who he's talking to, if anybody?
1000% Tatiana is hovering in the hallway, just slightly out of sight, watching and listening.
Mm. You see him take a letter from a young boy, closes the door, and he turns and he sees you there and he says, I need to put everybody in their right spots. I forgot to do that. That's no good. Okay, there's that. I'm in the wrong spot. Now I'm in the right spot. Okay, and now I just need to switch you two. Okay. I was so excited to get the story started. I completely missed that everybody's names didn't line up with everybody's faces. Now they do. Uh-huh. So, Tatiana, if you will take your, move your gaze over to the chat box, you will see that Alget Frisk has a letter. And he's a good butler. He doesn't open it, but instead hands it to you. I'll let you go ahead and read it to the group when you track them down. Would you like the actual text?
Yeah, I'm not able to zoom in on this. It's beautiful, but I can't read it.
Got it. Let's see here. Let's do that.
Okay. So it's been about a week. Trying to think how Tatiana would do this. Would Tatiana know where everyone else is at this point? Or are people kind of staying in their rooms or kind of staying off to themselves?
That's a great question. Edvard, what would you be doing over this week? Where would your usual haunts be?
Trying to clean the house up as best as possible.
Mm-hmm. And then Trish?
Trish is probably in the library making a mess.
and then Ernst?
In the library, dealing with Trish's mess.
Fantastic.
I'm picking up a book and looking at it for like 3 pages and then setting it down somewhere to go pick up another one.
Yep, and while I am pouring through and perusing in depth, I am just walking around, plucking the books that are being dropped around there, carefully
Pictures.
reshelving them.
Ooh, this one does have pictures. Save that one for later.
Okay. So Tatiana at this point would kind of call out, Edvard, the library, we have a letter. And then head to the library to meet up with the others. But just kind of call loudly for Edvard before heading to the library.
And I will make my way to the library.
So the group ultimately assembles in the library. The library is the nicest building, a room in the building right now. It has been clean and refurbished. Alget had some friends who owed Alget, so they were able to come in and repair and bring in some materials. And Alget had stashed books from the library, various different books, history books, geography books, literature books, some occult books. By no means is this library at its library prime state, but it's the nicest place in the castle so far.
Yeah.
Huh, Tatiana, is it lunchtime already?
No, we've had a letter from Linnea.
Ooh, a
Oh.
letter. I throw whatever book I'm holding over my shoulder. Read it to us.
Trish, careful with the books. You wouldn't do that to one of mine, would you?
Never. It wasn't one of yours though, so don't worry.
She'll just kind of look over at Ernst and just kind of like quiet, sorry. I think Tatiana has been hanging out in the library, but she's been sitting there in her finest clothes, just kind of looking pretty and posing while pretending to read books, just like occasionally turning pages just to keep Trish and Ernst company. She's not actually reading.
Yeah, closest
But-
thing to a cafe you got.
Yes, and then having our butler refresh her tea like once an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But she'll kind of look out the hallway and see if Edvard's coming before she'll unfold the letter to begin reading.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay. So she makes sure to pose by leaning against one of the bookcases and like propping her heel against the side of the bookcase. And then reads in a dramatic fashion as though this were like a Shakespeare monologue or something. Dear friends, I've received an urgent message from our Danish comrades, and I fear that dark forces are at work. If there is any truth to the references to the Sandman, the situation is extremely dangerous. Kindly visit me at the asylum as soon as possible and prepare to leave the country.
Already, I just
Sandman.
got here.
That's a name that Ernst, as a folklorist, you know well. Ernst is a folklorist himself, priest, wrote a number of collections of tales. And now that you think about the name and you think about the works and you think about what he wrote about, you say to yourself, huh, he wrote folklore tales in Denmark about folklorish creatures. You don't have necessarily anything on you, but that name, it's there in your mind.
Okay. Well, I hope I'll be able to consult the library before we go. The name is familiar to me. I've been familiar with it in the various studies that I've done, and I suppose with my own sight I should have known better than to dismiss them as mere folklore. But I shall have to peruse those more thoroughly now. Well, I believe we must make haste to the asylum then.
Yes. Is a man made of sand, or what do you remember?
Oh, it is simply his name.
Ah, all right. It's just a fanciful name, just like my
Oh.
detective wolf.
When I was a kid, I used to hear stories about him throwing sand in your eyes and putting you to sleep. And then that's where you get the crusties when you wake up.
Do believe this is a different individual.
This Sandman is more of a person, a folklorist such as myself.
Ah,
Although I suppose we should keep a lookout for the other Sandman, just to be on the safe side.
I mean, if we are here as part of the society, considering our first day in the castle, we would be remiss not to.
At the door, I'll get Frisk leans in and he says, I apologize for eavesdropping, but I heard this conversation and I've taken the liberty of summoning a carriage. It should be here in a few minutes.
you.
It's the nice one, right? It's the black one, not the dirty gray.
It's the one that's closest, ma'am.
All right.
And in a few minutes, you hear the sound of horse hoof on stone and the wagon wheel. And in a few moments, you board the wagon. The city is taking on a decidedly cold atmosphere now. A more persistent wind blowing through the city. The streets covered in yellow leaves. What was once a busy sidewalk and market now, fewer people are walking during the day, beggars huddling in narrow alleyways. It is, of course, the beginning of school, so students are running through the streets, late for class and the like. The atmosphere of autumn makes the asylum less appealing than somehow it could be. And the bare trees inside the asylum grounds give the asylum a sense of death that wasn't there before on your previous visit. Again, you know the routine. You walk in. It appears that the clerk is already expecting you, buzzes for an orderly who takes you in to see Linnea, and in no short time opens the door, and there, this time much more obviously, you see Linnea on her bed bench. This time, the restraints are much more pronounced. She seems to be aware that that's some of the thing that you have seen in your facial responses. And she says, oh, don't mind these straps. I have had troubled dreams of late. Welcome, my Thursday's children. Come in, come in. We have much to discuss.
Your summons sounded quite urgent.
Oh, it is. It is. I fear the worst.
I'm closing
it
the door, by the way, as we
abs-
come in.
Absolutely. If what is happening in Denmark has anything to do with that man, you see, the Danish Moors are populated by very powerful Vaesen, and royal engineers with modern machinery have little respect for them. But you must see this. And she holds out what appears to be a telegram for whoever wants to reach out and snatch it.
I would like to take it. From the Viborg post office to Uppsala telegraph station. Esteemed mistress, require immediate assistance. Stop. Clear demonic presence on Grimstead Ling. Stop. Grimstead Ling, excuse me. The type is very difficult. Attacks on the Moorland Society's work camp. Stop. Unnatural damages on equipment. Stop. The men frightened out of their wits. Stop. Anger and foolery from the locals. Stop. Afraid it is G. Sandman's devil. Stop. Awaiting your arrival at the Grimstead Tavern. Stop.
And at the name G. Sandman, again, Linnea recoils to a certain extent, and she says, Gabriel Sandman. Ah. He sees things, saw things very differently. Vaesen are meant to be destroyed, pushed away. Vaesen are the work of the devil. It was his religious influence. He merely put on the tropes that he was out collecting information for the benefit of society. If it is what he says it might be, this will be very, very important for you to go out to Denmark to investigate this and to solve this.
Is there anything we should know about Master Sandman?
I always suspected that he was part of a rogue group in the society. I was afraid that, again, that he was more interested in destroying rather than learning and preserving. And with that, my fear is that, and she starts to search. She's trying to find a word. Oh, they were part of the society, and they had a conflict with us. She's searching. She's having a hard time coming up with it.
A schism, do you mean?
There was a schism, yes. Absolutely.
There's a rival faction that we need to deal with.
Maybe. I have no idea how many of them are still out there.
Hmm. Do you know by chance how many split off at the time?
There were always more of us than of them.
Okay.
I think. It was hard. They were always members of the society, but then they, and she comes back to it and she says, "That's right. They were the Rosenbergers." And I fear, my dear friend, I fear that my dear friend in Denmark might be one of them too.
Who is your dear friend?
Oh, Preben. Preben Rasmussen. We have been in communication for quite some time. Pen pals, if you will. He does not have the sight. But as you can tell by his telegram, he accepts that Vaesen are part of the world, but he does not accept that Vaesen should remain a part of the world. So be on your guard. He will believe what you say, and he will believe when you see things that he doesn't, but his intentions are very different from yours.
We will take that warning into due consideration.
I did have a question for you,
Hmm.
Lady Elfkund. Um, did you know anything about Mads Kunst and his departure from the society?
No, that name doesn't sound familiar at all. No, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. You've been going through the books and the records, have you?
Mm, indeed.
That's good. That's good. Knowledge. Knowledge is the key. Knowledge is the weapon. That'll get you out of a jam or two.
And
Is there
our-
anything else I can help you with?
Yes, our butler, Mr. Frisk,
Oh, he's a hoot, isn't he?
a delight, a delight. He made mention that we are not the first to attempt to reignite the spark of the society.
Oh, that's true. Many times in the past, the society has had minor and even major catastrophes fall on it. It's understandable considering our line of work.
Yes. Uh, but in light of the information you have given us about the Rosenbergers, I need to know, were the previous ones who attempted, were they lost encountering Vaesen, or were they done in by, well, other humans?
What previous ones are you referring to?
Well, when he introduced himself to us, Halgar said, oh, what was it? Perhaps this group won't die this time. Something like that.
Oh, I don't know what he's referring to. He's such a card.
Quite.
I see.
One more question, Lady Elfquint.
Which-
Um,
wait, uh,
okay.
Ernst, are you feeling like a Let's see, what would this be? I think this is is an observation. I think, right? Would you like to read the room?
I would like to read the room. Is she, in fact, just a little bit daft? Is she?
The Ernst, you see, on her face tightening facial muscles, and a flush of color. You saw this before when she started to fade on you the last time. It looks like this is something that probably shouldn't be pressed. But definitely you're saying to yourself, maybe when she's in a better place, this is worth revisiting. But she's certainly got an emotional response that she is trying to contain, probably for the sake of the moment, making certain that everybody has received what they need to from her. But yeah, she's got a struggle going on underneath.
Okay.
Is either she's just lying or it's a trauma response. Or
Yeah,
both.
very much so.
Regardless, I won't push that now.
Is there anything else I can help with?
Lady Elfquint, I had one more question, if I may. Has the castle. Do you find the castle has been susceptible to ghosts or other traveling Vaesen over time?
You're going to have many visitors. Most will be probably friendly. But there are
Oh.
times where the castle has been home to, avenging spirits and sometimes sometimes a soul that hasn't passed on yet seeks out our help. Um, the city is far too much of a city. I don't think you'll actually, it's not like a group of giants will descend on the castle or something like that. But yeah, your 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 occupation and the castle. I think the scientists are calling it an antenna. You are an antenna, and the more that you engage, the more you learn, and the more that you go out and do things, the more you will attract Vaesen. But again, be wise, be thoughtful. You'll be surprised at the number of times they are simply there because they know that help is at the castle.
Is there anything you wish us to know about the castle? Any special denizens or visitors to keep an eye out for, or like
Oh, if
saucers of milk in the attic or some such?
hide your activities. The local officials will not take kindly. The
They meant
other
I was like, whoa.
the
We have some
local
privacy,
officials
geez.
won't take kindly, and there will be those who are interested in exposing what's going on for personal gain. I would say the only other thing is explore. At its height, there were so many wondrous things. She begins to lean back in her chair. There were the gardens. They were so lovely. I especially liked the butterfly garden. I spent many hours there. And her voice trails off as she basically leaves the room, clearly going back into a pleasant memory. But her body begins to shake a little bit. Doesn't seem out of control, but Linnea has retreated back inside.
We should check out that garden.
I hope you enjoy it there, Lady Elfquint. Tatiana's just going to say softly.
I was going to ask her what she thinks is living in our chimney, but I guess we'll find out.
I think that the chimney would have been, I think, a bird nest. That would have been something that over the week you probably would have.
Sure. Bird
I
nest.
know. There are much more. Yeah, there are better things to There are better things for me to populate the castle with than there.
Mhm.
There's stuff there.
I think that was actually one of the first things Edvard did was clean the chimneys.
Yeah, it's good.
'Cause
It's
it's like-
getting winter.
Yeah, because he's like, I don't want someone, Trish, to light a fire in one of these fireplaces and burn the whole place down.
That's fair.
Never lived in a place with a chimney or a fireplace.
Yeah, I know.
Or a
Like,
place.
I wasn't going to be making any judgments, but I wanted to make sure that we didn't burn ourselves to the ground before we even established ourselves.
That's good. That's good.
Wise precaution. Well, I believe we should give the lady her space.
Yes.
Again, the orderly escorts you back out the front. The carriage awaits you, and I think our scene heading back to the castle. I think the four of you start to plan what it is that you think that you're going to need for this trip to the northern peninsula of Denmark.
We'll probably need a lantern at the very least.
We'll need some bedrolls.
Bedrolls? Do you mean we won't be staying in a hotel?
What's a hotel? Just kidding. I know what a hotel is. Why would we ever stay at a hotel? It's expensive.
Because
Right.
otherwise we're sleeping on the ground.
What's wrong with the ground?
Um,
want the stars?
either Edvard or Ernst, I think that you can add to the conversation about how a scientific society conducts. If they are out in the moor, I think it's probably safe to say either one of you could talk about what a scientific survey has. What are the sort of things that are there,
Yeah.
tents and things like that.
It's like there will be accommodations at the site, I would assume. It sounds
They-
like it's going to be a facility of some sort.
Oh, good.
They probably won't be to the standard that you're used to, Lady Tatiana, but there will be a place to sleep. You may need to prepare yourself for roughing it a little bit.
What about the trip there? Won't that be several days? Maybe even a couple weeks? Pretty far, Denmark.
I would be assuming we are going by train.
Whoa, we're
You-
taking a train?
Just like the specific details, you'll be able to discern back at the castle, but you definitely know it'll be several days by train. You will have to take a boat from the south of Sweden to the north of Denmark. So you definitely know that there are boats and trains involved in your future. Several days. Like,
Oh, no swimming? Thank God, I haven't been practicing my doggy paddle.
I hope they won't give me trouble bringing Katya onto the train.
Bring what on the train?
Bringing who? I look over at the other two. Is that your nicknames? No? Okay.
Has anyone been observing Tatiana after dark in the evenings when she leaves the castle?
She just talks to herself. Whatever, it's natural. Everyone does it sometimes.
Everybody has their own business.
I'm
So,
mostly
Edvard doesn't
absorbed
pry.
in the library myself.
Yeah.
I mean, you three seem weird, so I'm not about to judge. Not wanting to
the
sleep on
ground
the
floor
ground.
the ground floor
God.
has accommodations for what would have been the castle help. So 2 rooms with 3 bunks in each room. So whoever would have been with Tatiana might have a better chance of recollecting what they saw.
Yeah, I think Frisk has been hanging out with Tatiana, but they've just been assuming that, everyone Frisk has ever met has always been a little special. So not about to judge.
Yeah.
Tatiana's just drunk again. It's fine.
Yeah, no. Tatiana at night has Frisk prepare raw meat that she takes out into the garden. And she sits out in the garden and speaks to something that stays in the shadows. And the fact you guys haven't noticed is just, oh, Katya, she's my hound. Haven't you seen her? She doesn't like buildings very much, so she stays out in the
Oh.
garden.
If you have a
Oh,
dog, you
that
better
might be-
introduce me to them right now.
I can't. She's back at the castle. We're in the carriage.
Well, she's in for a scritching. Just saying.
You might be in for a biting if you attempt scritches too early.
Well, I would ask for her permission first, of course. Not rude.
She,
Certainly not to a good girl.
yes, she's a bit of a soldier, and she's going to look at Edvard. I think she'd probably like you the best.
That is good to know.
Presence, though, may complicate our travel.
Oh, she is but a shadow. I suppose I could only bring 3 travel gowns and bring a kennel. Hmm.
If you are willing to make that sacrifice, that will help our journey, I'm sure.
Yes. Katya's not very fond of the hunting, so the moors might be a nice change of pace for her.
And in short order, the carriage arrives back at the castle. Algot is there and opens the door. How did your meeting with Linnea go? How is she doing?
She was tired.
Yes. Yes, she's seen much. She's done much. Do you have an assignment?
We are going to Denmark.
We're taking a train.
You will be taking a train. I suspect you will be taking at least one train. Let me see to the preparations. I'll let you know what your itinerary is, but I suspect you'll be leaving on the morrow.
Yes, I will need a home for Lady Katya to travel in.
Is this the dog?
Lady Katya, you make her dinner every night.
Yes. So you require a travel kennel. He looks around. Doesn't see anything. Yes.
No,
Will this be
dog is outside.
This will be you're outside. He's talking to you outside the carriage.
I don't know. If he looks, there might be in the heather. I don't know what surrounds our castle, but there's a black dog out there who's kind of doing that. I'm suspicious of you, and I am not going to come out and interact with you. And Tatiana is not interacting with her, so she's just angry black dog in the bushes, gently growling at the group.
What size? Did we ever determine?
Katya
This is just the pet dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Probably a medium-ish 20, 30 pound dog sort of thing.
A Greenland dog. So how big are these things?
That's a great question. I'm not a dog I'm a dog person, but not that dog person.
Between 50 and 70 pounds.
He'll get a medium kennel for you. Is there anything else that I can acquire? I have some running boys that can go into town.
Apples. Oh, and ham hock.
So food.
Yeah. You asked.
We will need some provisions for the journey.
Should have asked if you weren't gonna serve. Saying.
Right.
Never had a butler or anything, but I know if my friends asked me if they were gonna get me something, I'd tell them.
I believe we may need some additional time to discuss all of our arrangements.
Very good. I'll send for a kennel. And he walks over
Don't forget
to
the
one of
apples and the ham hock.
He orders apples and a ham hock.
Make sure it's a polished black, none of that dirty heather or dusty brown colors.
Yes, ma'am. And then proceeds to give the instructions to one of the kids, throws him a small coin, and off the kid goes running into the city.
there's something weird about that dog when it doesn't chase the kid for running.
All right. The opportunity for the group to collect information and or make decisions on any other purchases before you journey to Denmark.
So, what do you think we should bring? Do you think we'll need weapons? A sack? Something made of silver? Some
I
salt?
think I will need to read one of Mr. Sandman's books. If the castle library doesn't have one of his books, I am sure that my personal research collection will. So I am planning to spend some time perusing his writings, not only get the lay of the land, but see if I can gain any insight into a potential adversary here.
Okay, excellent. So
So,
Ernst
yeah.
will be in the library. Tatiana?
Tatiana's probably going to be in the room. I'm assuming they share, or she shares with Tridge. And thinking back on her history and things she has encountered and things she has heard, and trying to think if she knows anything about Denmark or things she should be aware of, or just kind of rumors and scuttlebutt that she might have heard on her journeys.
Okay.
Things she's overheard that she was not supposed to overhear.
Okay. And then
I think I'm going to take this opportunity to go explore the grounds and see if I can find that garden, since everybody seems distracted.
got it.
I'm not
And-
about to figure out what we need to pack. I'm pretty good with whatever I've got on my back,
Excellent. Edvard.
Looking to see what provisions we might need for
Fantastic.
our journey.
Awesome. This all happens simultaneously, but I'll go back through the order. Ernst, you go to the library, and there is some time, but the books have been here, and you've thumbed through them, and you definitely know that there is a book that you've come across from Gabriel Sandman. But before you get to that, you come across a newspaper article that grabs your attention.
Hey.
And while Ernst is reading that, Tatiana, I think this is a learning role for you as you reach back into Tatiana's mind palace to try to grab some good bits of information you would have collected over the years. See if anything stands out. That's a success. I am forgetting to ask if people want to push the roll. You can push a roll even though you had a success, but I typically find that with something like this, there's probably not a tremendous need. This part of Denmark is it's a if I can borrow a term, it's a blasted heath. It is the result of overly aggressive farming, and at one point this part of Denmark was fertile and now it is not. You know that a very rough people live here. I don't mean rough like like they're not educated in the classical sense, but they're rough in the sense that their lives are rough. They are subsistence farmers, but they don't farm crops. What they do is they harvest peat. They harvest peat for steam engines. And they're very proud people. Difficult to deal with from time to time. wary of outsiders and a superstitious lot. The other thing that you remember, because this is all people in your past circles, you're talking down a lot about these folks, right? At one point, their ancestors would have been very successful, and look at how far they have fallen. The other thing is that it's a very dangerous place. The Moors are notorious for gobbling up people who are not paying attention to where they are walking. You stay on the paths. If you go out into the moor, you may never come back. It is definitely not a place for a lady. And that's the sort of information that you have about the place. Let's see here. Trish.
Yes.
There are a number of different buildings and such that look like they were suitable maybe for are you looking for this specific butterfly garden, or are you looking for just gardens?
The specific butterfly garden.
You think you find what Linnea was referring to. It's a framework that used to be encased in glass. 100% of the glass is smashed. The framework has a nice, patina of exposure and oxidation and rust on it. It has definitely seen better days, and it's overgrown. It would definitely take. It's definitely a fixer-upper to the tune of. Well, actually, you know what? Let's see if you can figure out what this would be the tune of. What would this be? Would this be a learning for you too, or would this be? I'll let you do either learning or vigilance. Let's do either a learning or a vigilance.
Vigilance, because I have a 1 to that. All right, so I just click it, right?
Yeah.
Or do I?
You drag and drop.
And drag.
Yeah, drag and drop the dice over.
Wow, I got 4. Jeez.
You know it's going to be a fixer. You know it's going to take resources. You know it's going to take some money and some time, but you don't really.
This looks broken,
know.
And I know glass is expensive.
Exactly. How's the shopping going, Edvard? Or should I come back around to Ernst?
Due to it being kind of in the nature, I was thinking like hunting equipment, hurricane lamp, binoculars. Which that's 2, 4, 5, which leaves us with 3 resources.
Cool. So I'll go ahead and put. Let's see if this works. I can't remember if this works. Can I put the binoculars into the chat and then you can put it into your inventory, Edvard? Will that work? I forget if that works or not.
Yeah, should. Just
cool.
Grab the little dragon.
Fantastic. So you bought binoculars. You also bought hunting equipment?
Yes.
And then you also got +2 investigation in the wilderness. I'm not going to remember that, so make certain that you remind me when we get to that point in the program. Hunting equipment, binoculars, and what else?
Hurricane lantern.
Hurricane
lamp.
Yep. Got it. All right. There we go. Fantastic. So in no time, Alget Frisk's troop of irregulars come back. Amazon same-day delivery and your equipment. And of course, remembering that you have 3 capital on hand in case you need it. Not that you will. Everything is going to go fine. Everything's going to go be great.
But it's good to have it for just in case on site.
Ernst, the hits keep on coming.
Okay.
You find what you're looking for in a fragment of a Sandman work, which is in chat now. And I'll let you check that out for a second. Well, we go to Trish.
Okay.
Not Trish. We've come full circle. We're back to Ernst.
Yeah.
So at some point, Edvard has finished thumbing through the Sears catalog. Trish has come back in from scoping out the butterfly garden. Tatiana, you have finished packing. And I think the group kind of makes their way back in to find what Ernst has discovered.
Well, I have learned quite a bit looking at the clippings and reports that are around. It sounds as if the Danish government sees this expedition as a civilizing force. They refer to Grimstedling as a primitive and godforsaken part of Denmark. Sounds lovely. And they quote Linnea's friend Preben Rasmussen. He is leading the Moorland Society's expedition here. And he says, I have humbly accepted the noble task of ensuring civilization and human progress. He adds that his only worry is how the local population will react to the steam engine. One hears of the Luddite lunatics in England. Sounds like we're going to be walking into a situation where the local populace is, if not in direct conflict with the expedition, at least the expedition does not look highly on them.
So, concerns of if they're just eradicating any Vaesen they come into contact with, this civilizing force is usually used as an excuse for bloodshed.
Yes.
Quite likely. So we are going into a volatile situation. And Curry, out of character here, does Ernst know, is Sandman still alive or has he passed? Because this is referring to him in past tense here.
He is dead, yes.
Okay, he is dead.
Yes, he is dead.
Gotcha.
And I think that, again, you would know this. This is a person in your wheelhouse. So yes, news of his passing would have arrived.
Okay.
Many years ago, actually, he would have passed. Oh, at least probably about 20 years ago, he would have passed.
Okay, that is helpful player knowledge.
Right.
And the other bit of research that I have found here is a little bit about Mr. Sandman. And he was a chronicler of tales of the Vaesen that haunted the moors. I think it will do me well to bring one of my collections of his works so that I can, as we find what signs, symptoms, and other clues are there, I can cross-reference and peruse, but they compare him to the Brothers Grimm, who you may have heard of. He traveled far and wide throughout Denmark.
How long ago?
He passed on about 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. Must have left quite an impact. We're still hearing about him.
You know that he was traveling through Denmark anywhere from, he'd have been, oh wow, liberal arts major in the house. Okay. He was 70. Anywhere from, he was active, like 40 to 70 years ago, like that 3-decade period. So an entire generation before yours. So he'd have been active 40 to 70 years ago. That window.
And his books would probably be fairly renowned too if he was that active in his career for so long.
In academic circles, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I owe a great deal of my academic upbringing to his work. It's somewhat disturbing to find out some of the views that he held. But I suppose they do say never meet your heroes.
his works have a decidedly Christian-centric view. He was a priest after all. But there was that idea of, until recently, it was, the idea was always, he's a man of knowledge, collecting information in the great tradition of monks and scholars from centuries ago, right? So, but yeah, now it seems like that meant something else.
Indeed, I wonder how many of the things I have read about and studied have been exterminated by him and people who share his views.
Zealots.
Well, I believe that we will be doing a great service if we take use of some of that work and use it to restore some of the balance here and find a way for humans and Vaesen to peacefully coexist. Have a bit
As
of personal
you
stake.
are coming through the information, Alget Frisk comes in with some small booklets, the classic late 19th century timetable books that you consult for stages and trains and ferries and the like. And he lays out an itinerary. He says, "I believe I have found you an appropriate path to your destination." He says, "First train via the Western Main Line to Gothenburg. You'll steamboat across the Skagerrak to the fishing village of Skagen. That's the northernmost part of Jutland. You'll take a train to Viborg. That's in the middle of the peninsula. Then finally a postal stagecoach. That's the best I can do. To a Grimstead Tavern. And I believe I have found an appropriate map. For those who were hoping that there was a map, there is a map.
Lovely.
I'm afraid that the journey will not be tomorrow, but it'll be the day after. But it'll take a little bit of time to get all the appropriate paperwork back. But yes, you should be able to go very soon. Is there anything else I can get for you?
No, I do believe this is everything. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
When we get back, will you procure me some gloves?
And he stops and turns and he says, "Social gloves,
Some thick leather gloves, for handling glass.
work gloves. Of course.
Yeah. Thanks. You're the best.
I know." The course next couple days are, of course, for packing and preparation. And in a short time, you are on your first leg of your trip. This is the point in the program where you get to take opportunities to be able to prepare yourself. And there are lots of different ways to prepare yourself. So this is like a 2-day, 2.5-day train ride. So there's only so much of that rhythmic clunk, clunk, clunk before you start to seek out things to do. So over the train ride, let's start with, I think we'll start with Edward this time around, and everyone can think about what they're going to do. But think about a scene of an interaction on the train. Put me on the spot, make me have to come up with a guy with a name. And of course, the goal here is for you to acquire some insight or some knowledge that can potentially help you in your mystery to come. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I put you on the spot, Edward.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's understandable. I will search someone out and hopefully a local of the area that we're going, or someone that may know of the area where we're going, and see if they know anything about this expedition that is going into the moors.
Okay. So it's a day of socializing and talking with folks. You take it upon yourself during meal times to go to the dining car and just kind of is this seat taken and striking up conversations with individuals. The individual who you connect with is a person who has traveled the this part of Denmark on a fairly regular basis, and and it says, "Oh, I've been there a number of times. It's a nice place, good folk."
Hmm, that's good. That is where we're heading. Have you heard anything of this expedition we've heard about?
Expedition of
That's a
exploration going out into the
scientific exploration, more of modernization, I think, is their purpose.
yes, I think we're talking about a Moorland Society. I have heard of them. Interesting bunch. They what they talk about. I'm no scientist, but what they talk about sounds like magic. There's a great deal of excitement about. Can you believe it? Artificial fertilizer. I don't even know where you would make artificial fertilizer from. Where would you start?
Artificial cow. A robot cow.
Robot
A mechanical cow, of course.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Come on.
It seems like a Herculean task. The Moor are it's a large. It's a huge just area of land that is very marshy and boggy, and the idea of turning that into farmland. I mean, fertilizer is one thing, but there's just so much water there.
Okay. So a good pair of
It's unfortunate you're going now. This is not the time to visit. The Moor has such a bad reputation, but I've been there in the summer when the heather is in bloom and the Moor is beautiful with waves of purple flowers clinging to the ground, even in such a godforsaken land, to find such beauty. But by now, it will there will be no color out there. It'll be a very depressing scene.
understandable. That might be amenable to my proclivities. But moving on from there. So it's a very marshy area. Is that how it is all the time? Is it any
In
worse
in the
this time of year?
boglands, yes, there are areas to walk and roads, of course, but yes, year around, it is a very wet, soggy marshes, bogs, streams, small lakes,
Okay.
a lot
So
of
a
water.
lot of water.
And continues to enjoy a great meal with you and talk about other things. Edvard, I think you've earned an advantage. I think this advantage will be a +2 to vigilance. You have been given information about the layout of the land, so you'll have an opportunity to use that once when you are out, basically
Ooh,
surveying the land.
sounds good.
Excellent. Hey Trish, are you ready?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are
Are you
you
asking?
spending your train time?
Okay.
Or this could be on the
So
ferry. I don't know. Depends on how much you want to freak everybody out doing acrobatic stuff on a ferry. I don't know.
okay. Well, if we're on the cart, right now. I would say, would it be fair to assume I would have like a tarot deck or something like that? I'm probably like
yeah.
practicing my
Oh, yeah.
card tricks and
Absolutely.
like flipping cards up and down.
Yes.
Maybe I'll ask people to like, draw a card just to entertain anybody.
Absolutely.
Card,
Absolutely.
anybody?
A number of people are very excited to come up. They're like they eye you like, are you charging money?
I mean, I take off my hat. A coin
Oh.
would be generous
So yes.
if you have any to spare.
A few kroner make their way into your hat over the course of several sessions. Is there a particular session that we want to investigate, take a dive into?
Yeah, does any of my party want to draw a card?
Oh, even better.
Oh yeah, Tatiana will take a card.
Edvard would actually be interested in taking a card too.
All
Oh,
right.
as would Ernst.
Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to sit back.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm pulling up a deck. Okay. Oh, I wonder if there's like a random card generator.
For Fantasy Grounds?
Oh, maybe.
No, I
was
have
just
not.
thinking
I
on
haven't.
Google.
Absolutely on Google. But not. No, I don't. I haven't come across one because there's a random card function in the game, but it wasn't put into
Give
this
me 30
particular rule
seconds and I
set.
can get you an actual deck.
Oh,
I have one over there. I've
Oh.
already pulled up the generator and I've got the 3 cards.
Okay.
Excellent.
So who
Never
wants to go
mind.
first? All right, Tatiana, my dear, my lovely.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. Ace of Cups. This means you're very thirsty, and I wink at her. All right, who's next?
I'll take the next one.
Okay. Two of Cups. You're twice as thirsty as her. And for you? Oh, what happened? You blacked out. Listen. 3 of Pentacles. Huh. That's a shame. I put it back in my deck. Well, that's all for today, folks. I scuttle off.
What the cups had to do with emotion and connection in some way.
I think they were having a bit of fun.
I have done a bit of study, and I won't say this in front of Trish, but I will give my learned scholarly interpretation of the 3 cards that have been read, and will wax on and on about the history of the divination in there, and perhaps reference the Book of Thoth and various divinatory schools, and kind of drone and ramble a bit.
Yeah. Tatiana starts off listening, and then slowly her eyes glaze over, and she just starts nodding, and eventually just politely excuses herself to follow Tridge back to wherever Tridge went.
Yeah, Trish has probably found a different part of the deck and is at this point awing the crowd with like various acrobatic feats, and maybe like sticking their leg behind their neck or some other contortionist type stuff.
You're not in a chaotic situation. You're not in a combat situation. You're doing what you do normally. It's performance. This is all learned muscle memory. You perform this. You bring a great deal of happiness and joy and entertainment to people who are sitting on this train day 1, day 2, ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. I think that's going to be an advantage in inspiration. So you'll have a +2 once inspiration. Yep.
Ooh.
That's something that you'll be able to do once during our mystery. add
Do I-
+2 to an inspiration roll. That's just something to remember. And at some
Okay,
point,
I'll
you'll
take notes.
just let me know. You know what? You just called for an inspiration roll, and I'm feeling like I have an advantage, and then I will say, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Neat.
I did want to
Oh,
say what
sorry.
like Edward was gonna do, like with Ernst talking, like much the same as Tatiana. But as she's leaving, he's like, "Oh, don't leave me with him."
Leave me alone with him.
Because I don't know. It's like now I have to be polite and listen
I'm stuck here.
and not fall asleep.
And you
Um,
see, the Three of Pentacles represents skill or mastery in a craft.
Yes, yes.
And yes.
Excellent. Ernst, I think I know what your scene is. What are you doing on our travels to Jutland?
Well, knowing now kind of what the lay of the land is there, I am delving into my own collection of books, and I am looking specifically for creatures of the moors. And I know that earlier there was a reference to a devil, so I am kind of scanning and looking for the moors and looking for devils, demons, things
Right.
of that sort.
This devil, of course, isn't a devil. All right. The devil is just another construct term out of an attempt to understand Vaesen through a different religious framework. This devil most likely isn't a devil as much as it is what's the word? A protector, a very powerful protector, but a vengeful protector and a dangerous protector. That this Vaesen, if this Vaesen would have been something that you it's almost like you're like, do we have to have this thing around and be our protector? Because sometimes we're pretty sure this thing is as much of a problem as what it's supposed to be protecting us from. In your reading, you also get the idea that the term devil might have been applied because this is a winged Vaesen. So you start to conjure in your mind's eye an idea of something that's got the very cool bat wing sort of look to it and things like that. And it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe a giant bird. But I think the other thing, of course, is over and over again, this guy, Sandman, this guy got a very, very high sense of self. And he writes a lot about the locals. And he seems to have an eye on like assessing relative value and merit of people wherever he goes. And a lot of times it's just based on physical appearance. Because this guy, right, seems to was probably a fairly handsome person himself and uses that as a measuring stick, if you will, for interacting with other folks. And that ego just kind of oozes off the page as you're reading. It's interesting that when we've gone through these books before, it was always like author style or whatever. But as you start to peel away the layers of Gabriel Sandman, it's like, there's a whole lot more here than I was picking up on as you go through that. That's yeah, and with that information, I think that you can also, man. Let's see here. I think you're priming the pump. And you're getting yourself ready for what it is that you're looking for. So I think the advantage you've earned is a +2 to investigation.
Okay.
All right. So Tatiana, you've run away from Ernst and his lecture.
Yes. It's becoming fall or descending into winter. Like,
We're end of months, end of September, beginning of October.
okay. Because I am an astrology nerd and I looked up the lunar cycles of 1870.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Nice.
um, so we're on the ferry.
Yes.
What kind of food is being served? Like, are there?
I suspect that there is a standard fare kind of food being served. I suspect sometimes it's on very dark rye bread. I suspect sometimes there are pickled vegetables and fish involved. I also suspect that the various local ales, as you travel through from region to region, as they supply from what is local, I suspect that's a tremendous amount of what you are eating as you make your way south.
All right. So Tatiana has saved a third of her dinner in a pail or I don't know what container she would have on her because it would not go on her purse, but she would have contained it. And she's taken this pail and she has her notebook and her pen. And so she is going to. Are they on the ferry over evening? Like, are they there for one night or is it just during the day?
It's a great question. I suspect it's a day crossing. I steamship travel is not my amongst the many things I don't know. That's one of them.
So she's going to go to the seedier side of it where less people are hanging out so that she can sacrifice her dinner and throw it over the edge to Neptune, because Neptune on September 22nd
I
was in
love this.
Ceres trine Neptune.
I love this.
And so she is sacrificing her dinner and calling upon Neptune to reveal to her things she needs to know for her mission, and is going to use automatic writing to see what the sea and Neptune will reveal on this day.
You are do you mind if there are people watching, or do you find a secluded place?
So long as there's not too many people watching and as long as nobody's going to interrupt her.
Fantastic. Okay. So you set down your your writing materials. You say that small, you make up what sounds like a good incantation prayer. You make your offering overboard, and you put pen to hand and then hand to paper, and you begin to free write. And it's the usual beginning of free write. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I really hope we have a good time. I don't like the idea of sleeping in a tent. But as the writing begins to pick up, as this is done before, the consciousness and connection with the pen vanishes. And to a certain extent, you're not even consciously aware of what's happening anymore. You consciously are in a memory, a favorite place. You thinking back to a different city. You're thinking back to a past life. And in the back of your ear, you hear the frenetic writing. And sometimes you're paying attention to the movements, and you know it's not writing. You know that this is a Rorschach. This is a Jackson Pollock that's coming back at some point. There are probably words in there and symbols and the like. Time is meaningless. When you come back out, you're not 100% sure how much time has gone by. But you have produced 9 individual sheets of paper. And some of the sheets of paper have words and phrases. The nameless one. Sandman features prominently as a motif running through all the pages. The name. You have made the name into various different images on some of the sheets. Then you recognize that some of the sheets of paper seem to be drawings just of a moor. Cute little sheep grazing on the heather. You start to put the pages in order and realize that 2 of the pages go together. And they begin to form what looks like a larger image. Another and another. You have to rotate some of them. It becomes exciting to decode what this is presenting to you. But as you get the 6 pages and you start to put the 7th one together, you begin to predict what the image is. And it's chilling your core. The image, 2 eyes, a beak, very large, aggressive, angry, raven, but it's much larger. It's much larger. And its eyes are not natural eyes. There are no pupils or irises or anything. They glow. I don't know if you have colored ink or anything, or if this is all just monochromatic. But if it is monochromatic, it is clear that the eyes are emanating power. The image doesn't have a representation on it, but the image, when you put all 9 together, make you feel cold. So cold that you instinctively start, even though the temperature hasn't changed, it's not particular. You're out on deck. You have taken a jacket with you. You're outside, but it's colder than it should be. And you have to take the sheets of paper and stack them up and put them aside. And that oppressive cold goes away. Your shivering stops. You take a breath. You put the images back in, I suspect, a bag, a satchel, or whatever. You take your pen to put it away, but when you do, when you turn it, cold water cascades out of it, as opposed to the nothing that would have come out of it. There's no ink in the pen. It's cold water. Insanely cold water.
Thought I was done with the cold. Ugh.
I don't know what the advantage is. I want to say investigation, but I also want to say maybe observe. I'm going to say, man,
Ranged combat.
Ranged combat. Yeah, absolutely.
You throw it across the boat, right across the deck.
I'm gonna. I
Here, let it be
really.
cold.
Yeah. I think it's probably. I think it's probably investigation. Yeah. So you'll have an advantage for investigation.
Okay.
Side note: I love automatic writing. I've been waiting. The
Use of it.
journey continues without incident. The ship docks. You depart for your next train. The train takes you to the heart of the peninsula. You arrive in time to find the postal stagecoach that will take you to the Grimstead Tavern, driven by a pleasant older man who introduces himself as Julius and helps load your bags and whatnot on board his coach. It's an unpleasant ride. You've got a sack of mail, some other various different items in your laps. Some of it is addressed to individuals care of the Moorland Society. So it appears that the postal stagecoach is a way for the society to connect to the outside world while they are working on the moor. Julius
So,
is a... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
sorry. The Moreland Society, that's this place's equivalent of what we are for our area.
The Moorland Society, the Danish Moorland Reclamation Society, is the organization that is going to reclaim the land.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay.
They are the ones who are going to reclaim the land through science and engineering and agriculture. They're going to drain the swamps. They're going to drain the bogs. They're going to plant the plants, and they're going to make this land, in their eyes, productive and useful.
Yeah.
The Julius is a pleasant enough coachman. He, after you load up, whoever is sitting near him, he might turn over and say, "So what brings you to? What brings? I have a good voice for him. What brings you to Grimstead Tavern?"
We are planning on meeting up with the Moorland Society expedition out there.
Ah, the Moorland Society. Yes, I know about them. I carry a lot of mail for them.
So I have seen. We happen to share a mutual friend with Mr. Rasmussen.
Ah, yes. He sends me to get mail several times a week for them. Yes. Strange
Oh.
fella. Strange fella.
In what way?
Well, he doesn't. He's just got weird machines and stuff. He thinks he can change the land. He's got steam engine. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Have you ever seen the like? I mean, like, sure, there's the ones that drive the trains, but he's got a steam engine that he claims is going to get rid of all the water. Have you seen how much water is out there? Well, you will soon.
I have heard tales, but not seen it myself. No.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to get out there as the train has brought you in. The evening is wearing on. He says, "Oh, you must be the people who young Mr. Ludvigsen is waiting for."
Perhaps. I admit that I have left a lot of the planning of this journey to others, so the names may escape me occasionally.
Oh, you'll like Mr. Ludvigsen. He's a young chap, very excitable indeed. He works over at the Moorland Society. He's one of the scientists, I think.
Ah, a scholar then. I'm not a man of science myself, but I do enjoy a conversation with a fellow academic.
And in small amount of time, he says, "Well, you'll have your chance. Look, there he is," as the carriage makes its final approach to the tavern, as Julius brings the carriage to a stop. You disembark. a very young, early 20s, well-dressed young man is waiting for you as the coach comes to a stop. Let's see here. Let's give you a picture of who it is we're
Yeah.
talking about.
And
And
this was the guy that sent the telegram, right?
he comes up to you and he says, are you
Oh.
you you brought up his picture?
It's not loading for me.
Oh, it's not.
I'm not
No.
seeing it.
Oh, you're not, according to this.
Yeah,
Oh.
just a white screen.
Yeah, I just see white.
Well, that's interesting because
Oh, you're so pale. I can barely see you.
interesting. Well, I
I think
thought I
you've
was
gone a
gonna...
little bit too far into the light.
Give me some sunglasses.
Right.
So bright in Denmark.
You are
Vickery, this is the guy that sent the telegram, right?
no. He introduces himself.
You
Now
don't spend a lot of time outside, do you, Sonny?
No, he doesn't. He introduces himself as he says, oh good. Are you the individuals that have responded to... and I've already forgotten the guy's name because I'm trying to keep everything square in my brain. Are you the people who are here for my boss, Mr. Rasmussen's telegram?
Yes, we are. You must be Mr. Ludvigsen.
Ah, I am, yes. Thank you for coming so quickly. It's I must admit, I've been out here for several days waiting for you, and well, there's so much work to be done. I'm just finally glad that you're here so we can get back. This fertilizer, and he produces a jar. He seems very excited to share this jar. This fertilizer won't get itself into the ground, you know.
Have you tried digging?
Jar of dirt.
Well, if there were dirt there, dry dirt to dig, yes, we would definitely try that. But there's so much blasted water out here. So much blasted water out here. But, well, unfortunately, we won't be able to make it out tonight. But I've procured lodging here at the tavern. We can definitely stay here for the night and get some food, and we'll be able to embark out to the work site tomorrow morning.
Sounds like a fantastic plan. The telegram was somewhat scant on details, so I'm sure you won't mind us asking a few questions before we bed down for the night.
He's as he starts to walk. Sure, let's go in. Let's get some food. I'm here to help you. Yes, absolutely. He's excitable, I guess is the word.
So
Yeah,
important.
I kind of want to get a vibe check here. Is he like? Is it just that he is an excitable person, or has the line of questioning made him a little bit agitated?
It looks like he was already agitated, and the idea of the line of questioning that's coming has probably agitated him a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta keep them on their toes.
So I want to roll something, but first I have an important question.
Yes.
He's young, but would he? I don't have the photo, so I can't tell.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. He is.
Yes.
He is. I don't know.
The most important question in all tabletop RPGs.
Is he hot?
How hot is this NPC?
That's a very good question. I'm gonna try one more time to see if
Okay,
I can.
scale from 1 to 10.
On a scale of
Like,
1 to 10, I am not.
To a 19-year-old to a 19-year-old woman. Yeah.
I'm going to work to try to make him. See if I can make him. There we go. Maybe I'll put the image back in there now. So
God.
there's the image. So go ahead and click on it. I see your cursors on the image now. In theory, it's public. You tell me if you see a
Oh.
Still
You'll never
no
know
image
how
for
hot
me.
the semen smoking hot man child is.
Okay, so he is.
I
He
can see his
is.
stats though.
You can see his stats.
Oh.
Okay, well, stop looking at
Are they
his stats.
sexy stats?
He's
Yeah,
he's
you're
a
not.
well-groomed man.
Yeah.
That's good
How-
enough.
How acrobatic is he?
How acrobatic is he? Well, I've just taken off the. I've just taken off the. I've just taken off the public view. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Wow.
So Tatiana.
So he is okay. So he is well dressed, well kept. He is most likely a person who has grown up in a middle class environment. So of course he looks nice. His hair is clean. He is clean, and he speaks well. So yes, he's an attractive young man in his
Okay.
20s. Yes,
Charming.
all of those things are true.
So Tatiana is turning on the charm to put him at ease. And she wants to what would this be?
Oh no, go ahead and go ahead and start, and we'll see what happens. Yeah,
Okay.
what do you yeah, go ahead and parlay with Mr. Ludvigsen.
Master Ludvigsen, simply the work you do here, it's just cutting edge, isn't it?
Oh, why yes. Yes, it is. It is the very pinnacle of our science. Please, Jens. You can call me Jens.
Ah, Jens. I don't know. That's so familiar. And she's gonna like press a hand to her chest and then press a hand to his arm. Like, you don't mind being this familiar with an unmarried lady?
Well, no. I have your marriage or not married status doesn't mean I can't have a nice conversation with you.
It's so nice to meet young gentlemen. But
I
Yours is
and
just
it's
watching.
it's very nice to meet you too. I'm sorry if I appear agitated. It's just I don't like being away from my work, and I know that you're experts, and I know that you were called here, and that you're gonna help us with this very. And he's searching for a word. He says this very terrible thing that we've encountered. So I'm sorry for my shortness.
oh, it's understandable. Is this avian in nature?
Is this what?
Avian
Ah.
in nature.
Oh, heavens, no! No, not definitely not avian in nature. Oh no.
Mm. Well, perhaps we could talk more about this over a glass of wine.
And he's like, well, they don't have wine here. They have schnapps. So it'll have to be over it'll have to be over a glass of schnapps.
Yes, well, whatever you most prefer.
Least romantic liqueur.
And you walk in. He accepts the arm and takes you into the Grimstead Tavern, which is a tavern. It's a place. Let me tell you. The tavern is a simple building, a very large, great room, stairs leading up to what you assume are going to be sleeping accommodations of what type you don't know. The tavern itself is it's a coaching inn, is I think the best thing that I can describe it as. And there is a you can see that Julius is emerging from a room off to the side, and he's going back out to the stagecoach to bring more stuff in. So it seems like there's a little post office as a part of the tavern.
Can I go to help him?
Sure.
I'm just like, because that's what you do, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't have servants growing up like some people.
And he's very thankful. So, oh, thank you. It's very nice of you.
I'd like to start stacking the suitcase. I'm showing off how strong I am.
I'm
capable I am.
Whoa. I wasn't expecting. You're very strong.
Oh,
And
thank you. I
and
didn't notice. It's not like I do 100
anything
push-ups
that
every
says
day.
Moorland Society, please be very careful of. They get very angry if things break.
Oh, like this suitcase, I like kind of flip it
Oh
around the air to like
no,
show
no!
off.
He
Oh
starts
no,
to.
it's fine. I juggle.
This guy's in his like late 50s. Looks like he's close to retirement. You know, this is like freaking out. It's like, no, don't ruin my pension.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I got it.
The tavern is, as you are all entering into the space, the tavern is a very, I don't know if the word is dour, but you right away pick up on a couple of things. Number one is that the person running the establishment is a is a is a mountain of a woman. She is a commanding presence. She is somebody who has probably seen a couple lifetimes worth of experiences just on her face. The noticeable thing about her is that she has a peg leg for, and so you know where she is as you can hear the rhythmic step clop, step clop, step clop as she goes around serving what appears to be some kind of stew, as well as schnapps to a number of what look probably like local uh, um, local villagers. Uh, Another look around the area, you see that there are locals at a few tables, and not everybody has schnapps. There's a local what looks like a beer. And I guess the only other thing is since Tatiana, you're kind of engaged with um Jens, and Trish, you're showing off to Julius. I guess Ernst and Edvard would have the ability to just kind of do a much more detailed scan of this ground floor of the Grimstead Tavern.
Okay.
So like a observation from observation.
Right.
Oh, look at that. Successes. Exciting. They're not trying to hide it. There are two individuals who have garnered your attention. They have a familial resemblance. They might be cousins. They might be siblings. Two gents. And they are at a table off to a corner, sort of separated from other people. And they seem to have taken an interest in the outsiders. They are looking at your group, and they are looking and they're saying things to each other. And sometimes they're sneering, and sometimes they're giggling. And then they go back to looking at you again, and then they go back and they talk. And this happens a few times as Jens is bringing you in and securing a table for everybody to sit down at. And Jens shouts out, Krommuter, dinner and drinks, please. And you hear from the other end something to the tune of, hold your horses, I'm on my way. Very, 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 again, commanding voice, but not angry, definitely not perturbed, friendly, but I'm in charge here. I know what to do. I saw you come in. Come on. But you heard him call her by the name Krommuter.
Krommuter.
Yeah. Honestly, I just, as Jens picks back up, I'm excited to have you just come out, deal with the problem so that we can get back to the work that we need to do. Rasmussen's work is just brilliant. They'll talk about what he's doing out here for generations to come.
Of
Uh,
course, generations. Your name and his will go down in history.
I don't know about mine. I'm just a part of I'm a part of the overall team. I'm a team person. I don't have the engineering and or the hydraulics or anything, but my chemicals will definitely be a vital part of this endeavor, of this venture.
the newspaper reports have been quite glowing about the light of progress being shined in a place such as this.
See, that's what I always say. It's the empirical science. It's the empirical applied science that's going to turn things around and make the world a better place. Pull us out of poverty and pull us out of destitute and really a new golden age for the people not only of this area but of Denmark as a whole. It's very exciting. I just don't understand why sometimes Rasmussen doesn't see that. And no offense, I know you're here to deal with the darkness that's about here, but that's that's superstition. That's not the real world. The real world is here in this jar, and he pulls out his fertilizer sample again.
Yes. So Edvard had positioned himself like at the table so that he could have a view of those two individuals that he noticed earlier, and also have the attention of this gentleman, so that he can fake looking at him, but really be paying attention to the other two individuals in the back, just to see what are they up to during all this, because I'm sure this guy is not quiet.
There's a fair amount of play, like see my jar, right? There's a little bit of that going on,
A lot of
but
mockery, yeah.
but that's not as much as them like at one point one of them is just, oh, you're looking at me, I'm just gonna look back. And he just waits to break your stare.
Edvard is an experienced military man of getting dressed down from his superiors. He will not break the stare.
Fantastic, because in a minute or so, plays it off and leans back over to his. You're assuming they look very much like they could be brothers. He leans back over and he says something, and they both laugh, and then like their expressions from that laugh turn completely dark, and they both finish their drinks, and they make their way out of the tavern.
Okay. Did they have a dark look like when this gentleman mentioned a specific thing?
Nope, it was after you stared him down.
Okay.
Crowmooter comes up with a serving tray, produces bowls of stew. She says, welcome to my tavern. This is rabbit stew. I'm told it's very good. We have peat beer and berry schnapps.
Your schnapps is absolutely delicious. What berries are in here?
Accessing.
It's not a name. It's an alcohol question.
Yeah, it's
Heather.
It's late summer.
Heather
Okay.
spiced. Heather spiced. It's the only plants around. I should have remembered that. It's heather spiced.
There you go.
It's
There
heather
are
spiced.
heather spiced berries?
I'm told it's very good. I don't know how they make schnapps, Tatiana. I wouldn't even be able to tell you how much was in a serving unless I asked the internet a few days ago.
This is a travesty.
I would have
frankly.
given you way
Immersion
too much.
Destroyed.
I know. I'm sorry.
May you use
I'll thank her and would it be unusual for me to tip her? Because I got some Kroger from performing on the boat. Can I give her one?
She
Would that
she
be, would
she
that, that be
she
weird?
takes the tip. She says, "Thank you." And my understanding though is that your meals and your housing have been paid for by the society, but thank you. And
This
she
is for
takes the coin.
you gracing us with your presence, my lovely lady, and I'll wink at her.
And she kind of is like, you may get along fine around here. And it's kind of a hearty laugh, just kind of like a singular like ah, as she step clop, step clop, step clop, walks off. Yeah, you get a sense that you get a sense that she kind of likes you a bit, like, huh, not bad for an outsider.
Hmm.
Tatiana actually had a question she wanted to ask her.
Hmm.
Do you have any heather or other local herbs in the back that I might purchase from you?
I could look, sure. I'll see what I have.
Yeah, anything you would recommend for a trip to the moors?
She says, the best thing I can give you to go out to the moors is stay on the paths. No herb is going to help you if you get sucked down under.
Indeed. But she'll put a kroner or two down to see if she can get some heather flower or something that's local to the area.
And she'll take it and she'll head off to check her stores. Jens turns back and says, well, he's already finished his bowl. Kind of wolfed it down fairly quickly. I think that I'm gonna head upstairs. So they're just bunks upstairs, unfortunately, but there are bunks for everybody up here. And let's have an early start. Let's have an early start. Sunrise. We'll get up and we'll get some breakfast, and then we'll be on our way. And he starts to excuse himself from the table.
Tatiana's very polite and cooing after him, but allowing anyone else to stop him if they want to, because she has shit she needs to share with this table.
Yeah, Edward will just say, "Good evening, sir."
I'll nudge Tatiana after he's walked away, and I'll be like, eh.
Man of science doesn't even acknowledge Vaesen's existence. We could never get on.
Yeah, but he's like really hot. See that butt? Damn.
Yeah, but his hair is just the wrong type of flaxen.
Yeah. I don't know. Get him out of this humidity, then we'll talk.
All right. Who is still in the tavern besides Kromuda?
Some local villagers. Julius has finished his work and has taken up a table and has ordered dinner as well.
I'd actually like to go talk to some of the villagers when Tatiana's done.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I will actually like. Does it look like Tricia's going to be doing that? Like, is it obvious?
I mean, yeah, I'm eyeballing them. They're
Yeah.
eyeballing us, and I'm all eyeballing them back and like winking and stuff.
Yeah, Edvard will let her know, or let them know. Sorry, about the two individuals that were in the back. Like, did you notice their appearance?
Yeah, they were definitely staring us up and down, and seemed to be chatting amongst themselves. Kind of
Yeah,
chatty back there.
Yeah, they left rather quickly as well. I think we might need to get to know them. I unfortunately was staring one of them down. It seemed like a jolly old conversation.
I suspect they anticipated our arrival.
I would assume so, but I think since you seem to be earning more of the locals' trust, maybe at some point tracking them down and having a conversation with them might be worthwhile.
I agree. Would you like to come as backup?
Hmm.
Kind of good
Maybe.
cop, bad cop this situation, maybe?
Sure.
If it's needed, of course.
Yeah.
Might not be needed. It might be our best friends.
Maybe. They
Yes,
seemed rather jovial.
just come back when you've finished. I have something to show Ernst, and then I'd love to get your take as well.
Well, do you want to run it past us real quick?
Sure. And she will hand each of you 3 of her pages. Be like, we might want to clear the table. It's a rather large image.
Oh, I'll start taking cups and stuff and setting them aside.
So you're putting together the
I'm seeing if they can put it together by handing out the 3 pages.
Yeah, can I attempt to do it? To put my 3 pages on the table where I think they should go?
Try and decipher how this is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's an avian creature, is all I will say, until you see it in its entirety. And she just kind of clutches her traveling coat tighter around her.
You're not the rest of you. You're piecing it together. You're trying to piece it together, putting pages together. And Tatiana, you're getting kind of frustrated because they had 2 pieces together that were matched, but then they took them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And try as the rest of you might, there's no bird. What is there are what look like fragments of words and phrases, random doodlings. It is, and even Tatiana, when you're seeing parts put back together again, it just doesn't seem to be the same thing that you wrote. The image is the actual image that you've written is, and this isn't the first time that your writings have had a power in the moment and have faded. This is the time where it's not quite coming together.
Okay.
As
So
Tatiana is doing that, I'm going to put my hand on Tatiana's hands or hand or whatever. I'm going to say, this is one of your things, isn't it? One of your writings.
this is a hallowed story, and she's going to turn to the other 2. There are certain things I don't reveal easily, but due to when I wrote this, I had summoned Neptune, and he showed me an image of this bird, and she's just trying to force the pages to reveal the bird, and just
Yeah, there might be a bird there. There might be a bird there.
I'm going to again put my hand on her hand, and I'm going to say, this was an ephemeral message meant for you. And it will reveal itself again when it is ready.
Did it? If you don't mind me asking, was there anything of water?
my pen was filled with the same ice water that filled me upon seeing the image.
Because from what I have gathered so far, it seems like their goal is to use steam engines to pump out the water that's in the moors.
Could this be part of Neptune's domain because there's so much water here?
I highly doubt it is Neptune himself. I would assume it is whomever locally lives here in that domain. Neptune is simply a cataclysmic term for a cosmological term for the god of the sea. And the god of the sea takes on the names of whatever culture he or she or they inhabit.
We should ask the locals who they respect in these parts for that domain.
Yes, and even how do they feel about the water being pumped out and the technology?
Yeah.
And as you have this bit of conversation, you kind of look up and look around. Julius has already finished his drink, and he's actually walking over to the table. And he says, I understand we have an early morning tomorrow, but the breakfast here is good and hearty.
Julius, do you know who the locals? I don't know where you stand on the superstitious elements of your work.
Superstition, that's, I don't know if that's the sort of thing I don't know. You mean like old stories and stuff, or what do you mean?
Stories, customs, old holdovers from the pagan days, things that we should watch out for, taboos, that sort of thing.
Oh, if we're talking about customs, I would probably offer up that when you want to strike up conversation with a local, oh, my throat so parched. Oh,
Oh, would a beer or schnapps parch that
and
thirst
now
more
that you
effectively?
mention it, a schnapps would be lovely.
Call over the bartender.
And I think Chromoter knows what's going on because she comes back over with a bottle and lays it at the table and kind of winks at y'all and goes back to her work. And uh, Julius takes a shot and says, I'm not much for one about I'm not one much for subscribing to a lot of those old tales. You see, I am a man who's been around. I've traveled. I've gone other places like my father before me. Uh, when you travel a lot, you see the world, and it just has a way of clearing out the mind. It doesn't get clogged with the local talk that sometimes these people talk about the world in a way that it makes no sense because I've been there and they haven't. So I'm not much of a, I guess, a useful uh, storyteller. And I know people. Oh, I know people. I've met lots of people over the years, and my father has met lots of people over the years, and that's more of my, I would say, what I know.
Well, if we're looking to get some of the local connection, who should we be speaking to? Who are the important people to meet?
Oh, well, Cromuter there. She's been in this village for an awfully long time. Lost her husband in the war against the Prussians. None of you are Prussians, are you?
As we know.
No.
Okay, good. She has a low opinion of Prussians. The only good Prussian is an underground Prussian, if you catch my meaning. She knows a lot about
Molman, got it.
she knows a lot. I suppose. These a lot of these folks are just simple farmers and shepherds. They probably know a little something. No, I'd say Crowmooter. I think she's the only person who knows more about this place than I do.
Oh, I'll have to give her a chat.
Take that into consideration. And
Yeah.
there was a pair of men who marked our presence when we came in. Left in a bit of a hurry. I didn't see the exact circumstances there, but do you know of whom I'm speaking?
Couple of rascal boys over in the corner over there, and he points to where they were.
Those would have been them, yes.
Ah, the Jensen boys, Hans and Ejnar. They're rascals, all right. But well respected in the community. Their father was an important man, and I don't think you'll hear anyone say anything bad about them, even though they have a bit of a history of conflict. They certainly are not happy with the Moorland Society here. Be wary though. If you their older sister, she packs a wallop. Let me tell you, old Jensine packs a wallop. She's built like an ox. Wields She wields an axe as if she was made to do nothing but cut down the tallest trees.
Sounds like my kind of woman.
And he takes another drink. Well, unless there was anything else.
Tatiana immediately lost interest in this man as he started talking about travel clears the mind and the locals and blah, blah. She's just like, oh God, I should have asked Gromuda.
And speaking of the woman who knows almost as much as I do, Crowmooter, and Crowmooter's coming over with a small canvas bag. And Crowmooter's like, get on with you, Julius. You're gonna replace and you're gonna be out of a job soon, don't you know? And she comes up to you, Tatiana, and she says, I hope this is what you're looking for. And she's got a bag of flour, and it might be from a Heather. It might not.
a bag of flour in terms of like baking flour or in terms of like dried flowers?
That's what I heard. I heard flour. That's what Crowmurder heard.
She's like, yes, thank you. Of course.
My pleasure.
Such a troll.
Is there could we buy you a drink, Lady Crowmurder? I'd love to hear more about the Moors and this land we are entering.
Oh, the Moor. Well, she says, it's our home. It is where everyone works, and they work hard, and they do their job. And she says, the folks up at the village, Grimstead Huss, those folks are peculiar, to say the least. But they're good folk. They're good folk. What they say about them isn't true.
What do they say about them? What are you going to say about them?
Well, there's a couple of folks from the Moorland Society that say that the folks of Grimstead Huss are nothing but devil worshippers. I don't know anything about devil worshipping. They're good people. They don't do any kind of black magic. They don't take people's children in the middle of the night. That's all. That's not who they are. It's a bad rap. People who don't know what they're talking about.
Are there local customs or superstitions, things? I want to make sure that while we're here, we don't step on any toes or
Yeah.
do something out of line.
Yeah. Say if they were to worship the devil, what devil would they be worshiping?
Oh.
There's no devil worshipping here. If it's dark forces you're after, you could go check out the Plague Cemetery. The Plague Cemetery.
I like the sound of that.
Well, it's not where you want to end up. Plague victims get buried out there. Plague victims, suicide victims, unbaptized children. It's not a pleasant place.
Right.
And yeah.
I know typically those who help their communities are often demonized when people claiming progress and civilization come to town. What are some of the good works that the people of Grimstead House have done?
They've raised their children. They've harvested peat for the boilers for locomotive engines. They've raised sheep. They've harvested. They've made beer and schnapps. We're good, simple people.
Yes.
We do what we are expected to do. We do it the way that we think is fit.
And you did warn me earlier about staying on the paths and out of the moor. Do things ever come out of the moor that we might need to defend ourselves from?
Oh, most things that are around the moor get into the moor and then you never see them again. And she sort of bites her tongue. Looks like she was about ready to continue that thought and then stops.
Want to try to manipulate and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part. What did you just say?
Yes, that will be a manipulation roll.
Oh, that's a lot of dice. Hey, you got a success.
But the success.
I want to push and get 2 successes.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Oh, what condition do I want, though? I'm going to say that she's feeling a little bit hopeless because this has not been
Oh, look at that. It's 2 successes.
just feeling like this entire trip so far has been a waste. Her dog has vomited on her because she got seasick, and the 3 people she has attempted to pump for information have not led anywhere. So
She says, the things out in the moor, they're just looking for a way to pass over. There are a lot of lost children. A lot of lost children looking for their mothers. Looking to be reunited. Whether they died early, whether they, in a fit of youthful exuberance, went out into the marsh and never returned. We call them milings. I promise you, I've heard them called other things. But they're no devil. They're just children.
I was accused of being a changeling as a child. Is whether one dies young or whether one is accused of being different. There's no shame in. Indeed, I would say there is more shame in demonizing the lost youth than there is in these wondrous steam machines.
And that's the thing where she is collecting up empty bowls of rabbit stew that has been consumed at the table and empty glasses. And she says, those folks of the Moorland Society, I wish they saw it the same way. Anyway, that's what you need to be on the lookout for, maybe. And she collects and takes things back over to the bar to begin the process of cleaning dishes and getting more drinks out to some of the locals who are going to go pretty long tonight. And I think with that revelation, we'll go ahead and bring tonight's adventure to a close as you finish up contemplating what you've learned. It's an early morning. It's just Cots upstairs. Jen's is already out like a light. And we will see what you unearth in the morning. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our next part of The Devil on the Moor.